Have you ever felt?
Are you listening? Damn. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Have you ever Have you
Alright, so let me do... I guess we'll just get to it. The video isn't that long, so I have a link in the description to the video I'm going to be watching and building along to, and to OhmBoy OC's new YouTube channel. So the YouTube channel that he used to put builds up on is Local Vape. So that's what we're going to be watching the video on. But OhmBoy OC has a newer channel. I guess it's been out for like a year or something, maybe a little longer. Okay, I got that. Alright, let me get this up. So, OhmBoy OC, a coil builder for a long time. This video was made July 2015, so it's coming up on 5 years. 5 years ago. 5 years ago this was put out. Check that out. Video capture device. So what I'm doing is, I'm playing a video from another coil builder and building along. Whatever they're doing, I'm doing. I'm hoping I got the right wire here. There's a D-core you got to do off the big wire. I think I have it. I hope I do. I remember I had problems the last time. So we're going to see. If not, I'll just have to make some adjustments on the fly. So what we do here is I'm going to split screen. And before you even wonder, I've asked permission from Dwayne, OhmBoy OC, to do this. He was more than fucking cool about it. And I also asked him if maybe later down the line I could do the gargoyle hoof as well. And he said, fucking right. Absolutely. He actually said 500%. He didn't even say 100%. He said 500% yes. That's a big percentage. So that video will come up there. I also got little words. I got little words. Words, words, words. I got them little words. Let me just make this as good as possible. Boom, boom, boom. So you're going to see his video up here. Links in the description to his original video. Let me actually get this up here. There you go. Alright, and I'll build along with it and everything. So the beginning, we're probably just going to watch it. It's only a 20-minute video. It's not quite as long as Twisted Mess's video. So here we go. I won't have the chat up as I'm doing this because in order for you to see it, I can't have anything else on the screen. So I only have, maybe I should get another screen soon, but I don't know. That seems complicated for some reason. So, here we go. OhmBoy OC on Local Vape. These were good production value too. The videos on Local Vape, they did a really good job. Like all these intro things, and they always had music in the background, and the camera works really good. They did a really good job on these videos. Let's just get that out of the way. Oh, dude, look at this fucking giveaway they did. Oh my god. I've done a couple giveaways, never this big. This giveaway is humongous. Watch this shit.
All right, so today we're going to be doing the Arch Clapton wire. The Arch Clapton is a concept that came from Blue Eyed Goon 83. We're going to link him down below in the description, and you guys could, if you got a free second, check out his page. He's got some pretty cool creative builds on his Instagram.
The Arch Clapton is a build by Blue Eye Goon, is what he's saying. Just like the Cat Track Coil, Twisted Messes. This is the shit I was talking about before. I would watch an OhmBoy OC video, and he would automatically mention another coil builder and either say on, I think he mentions Twisted Messes on here too. He mentions Blue Eye Goon on Instagram, and I wasn't even on Instagram yet, so I was like starting to think like maybe I should just go over to Instagram and fucking check this shit out.
So first and foremost, since the other giveaway we did on the Alien Wire tutorial turned out pretty darn good and we had a lot of people enter it, I asked Local Vape if we could do another one for this tutorial, so they said yes. Local Vape, pretty fucking dope. And so they donated some more stuff. Today, we're gonna run it kind of the same way that we did the last one. So it's gonna be 3 weeks long, and you're gonna have to subscribe to the channel and comment down below. Maybe comment about something about upcoming tutorial you'd like to see instead of just a general comment. Maybe if there's something you're struggling with that you think that we should touch further on during these tutorials, then put that down in the comments, and that's going to be how you enter the contest. So once again, 3 winners, right? 3 winners are each going to win what you see here before me today, with the exception of I have all 3 of the mods laid out here. So you're going to get the Anarchist V2 Zombie Splatter. You're going to get the Anarchist Competition Cap, and that's sitting on that Tugboat V2. And then as well, you're going to also get the white Tugboat Cap. With that, you're going to win a full line of the Anarchist wire and cotton, and you're going to win an Anarchist shirt. And then for the dope part of the giveaway, you're going to win a full line and 30 mils of Atom Bomb, the collection, and Malicious liquids. So huge shout out to those 3 companies, Atom Bomb, Malicious, and the collection, for donating a shit ton of juice. Like, seriously, you win this contest and you're gonna have juice for like a month, like maybe 2 months. If you vape like me, then it's probably more like a week, but you know, you'll make do. So with that being,
Yeah, them bottles never lasted forever. I remember the 30 mil bottles, those are 30 mil. They used to do 15 mil. That was terrible. That was hard. That was like maybe a day. 30 mils would last like 3 days. And so you would have to buy like 3 of them a week. And they were expensive. Them bottles were like $25 a piece. So $75 a week just for juice. Crazy. You would always have to get it on sale. Like lots of the stores that did it near me would do like, if you buy 2 bottles, you get 1 free. So you're only spending like $50. Or they would do like, you know, points. If you gathered up your points at the shop, you would get a percentage off. And that was the only way you could really buy juice too, is from a shop.
being said, let's go ahead and get into the tutorial. For the build, we'll be using a DeWalt drill. We'll be using a pair of needle nose pliers, the nylon tipped pliers, set of cutters, a couple bits to wrap up the coils, and then a jeweler's block, a jeweler's hammer. You can get away with a regular hammer and anvil. You're just gonna have to be a little more gentle when you go to flatten the wire. We're gonna do this on Twisted Messes RDA because Twisted Messes RDA is freaking dope. I'll be using the...
At the time, the Twisted Messes RDA was like the best RDA out, especially for coil building. I actually have the dang all cleaned up. I figured that would be a good one to do it in, the dang. It should be perfect for these arch claptons. These arch claptons actually vape a lot like aliens too. They kind of look like, you'll see, they kind of look like an alien with just one hump, if that makes sense. So I got the dang ready. I got everything else. Now, the one thing that's important here, it's not so important, it just makes the job easier, is he has them offset pliers like this. These offsets they make the job a lot easier. These offset pliers here, the ones with the little angle in there, these are not toothless, but they make the job a lot easier. I have to see what gauges he's using. I know he's using 30. I don't know what type though. I don't know if it's Canthal or not.
The Vapor Cube.
I haven't watched this video in a long time. I think the last time I watched it, I was live, maybe like 2 years ago.
Ohm reader. And then for the most important part is the wire and gauges. We're going to be doing this with 26 gauge.
26. All right. It's definitely super important, the gauges in this. It's so important. Now, I have to see, I don't know if the D-core I have is correct, so I may have to switch from 26 to 27. I'm not sure. But let me get out my 26 gauge just so I have it. So I just got 26 gauge kidney puncher sitting here, so I'm going to grab that because it's already open. All right. So 26 gauge is what he's using.
Gauge anarchist wire. You're going to need a small piece of 18 gauge wire or something that's pretty close to...
I think this is 18 gauge. I'm pretty sure this is 18 gauge. I'm not 100% positive. But this is 20 gauge here. And when I take the 20 gauge and put it up to it, it looks like it's 18. I'm not 100% though. I'm hoping that this is 18. I've had this piece of 18 for such a long time, and I forget if it was 18 or 19 or 17 or 16 or something. But I don't know if you could see that. Let me see. Hold on. So the 20 gauge is the smaller one, so I think this is 18. I'm hoping that it's 18. I hope. That's the one bugaboo I have about doing this. I'm hoping it's 18. It's possible that it's 16 or even 19. I've had 19 gauge wire before.
The equivalent in diameter. And you're going to need 30 gauge. I'm using regular Canthal.
He's using Canthal. Alright, I have some 30 gauge Canthal. That may be important. I'm not positive. I have 30 gauge, oh shit, I'm sorry, 30 gauge Canthal. I have some. I might be able to do like one with this, but I also have stainless, so I'm going to make both, because he makes a couple D-cores here. I think I'm going to do the same.
I like to use Canthal for the outer wire just because nichrome's softer. So you'll see when we go to flatten.
That's important. Nichrome softer. It makes this build a little harder. But you could still do it. I've done it with nichrome, but it makes it a little more difficult.
If you're using nichrome, it tends to break easier, so I'd run with Canthal. And then the anarchist cotton to wick it up. The first step to this process is going to be taking that 18 gauge, which is about 4 inches long, and installing that into the drill. And then we're going to need about, I'd say about 18 inches of 30 gauge. I'll pull off a little extra just in case. And a little tip for this is when you do this first part, I would suggest.
Did he say 18 inches of 30 gauge?
Case. And a little tip for this is when you do this first part, this process is going to be taking that 18 gauge, which is about 4 inches long, and installing that into the drill. And then we're going to need about, I'd say about 18 inches of 30 gauge. I'll pull off a little extra just in case. And a little tip for this is when you do this first part, I would suggest that you make a couple extra of these claptons like we're about to do right now, just to have on the side in case you later on in the process you mess it up flattening the wire or something happens, like you have it right there. It doesn't hurt to have a few extra. So I'm just gonna slide that right in the gap there. It doesn't matter if you go clockwise, counterclockwise.
Let me mute my microphone as I do this. How's everything going? Is everything coming through clear and everything? Yeah, so if you have 22 gauge, if that's the lowest gauge you have, you might have to do like 28 gauge for the cores. You're gonna have to do something like that. You just have to do kind of the math of what it is.
And just start to clapton this wire out. Easy breezy. That's it. That's all I'm going to do. And the reason behind that is, in the next step, when I go to flatten the wire, I noticed that if I do too long of a piece, then it's really hard to get the cores in there, and then it starts to twist, and then you'll see as I start to flatten it, as if it twists, then it's just more likely to get messed up. So for this here, just do smaller sections. So we're gonna
Sorry, what I was saying is it's definitely more than 18 inches. So I have my piece here. It's going to be enough to do a coil, but I'm going to slide that off. With such a big wire, you don't even have to reverse it and decore it or anything. But now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get out about... So let me see actually how much you need of this. I would say at least like 6 feet, I think. I think that's the way to go. I can just take that off. There's my stainless steel one. I'm going to cut the beginning of this off because it was a little fucked up. So there, I got like a 3.5 inch piece of that D-cord off of the 18 gauge. Get this back in here. Now let me take off, I'm going to call it 6 feet. Alright, 6 feet. Boom. That's what I'm calling it. 6 feet. Let's see how much 6 feet gets me. 5 feet would have been perfect. 5 feet would be perfect. Around 4.5 to 5 feet. That would have been really good. 4.5 to 5 feet. There's another one. All right. 4.5 to 5 feet. Boom. All right, let's get back to the video.
Core the clapton, just like that. And that's part of the reason why with this drill I like
That thing on his fingers was the oil from the wire. That's what that was. He puts the wire into his nail. I actually got some right here too. That's the oil from the wire. That's what that black stuff on his finger was. It was way more common, especially with them big spools that he probably paid not too much money for that 30 gauge. And it's probably not super clean.
I like to just slide the wire in there because when I go to decore it, it's a one-step process, that's it. I made 4 of these decored claptons just in case I make a mistake on the next step. And so now while I still have my drill out, I'm gonna take some of that 26 gauge anarchist wire and I'm going to, I need about 5 inches, so I'll say about 18 inches I'm gonna straighten up on the drill real quick. And that way I got this wire ready and I can put away the drill and I don't need to use it. So yeah, that's about close there. Hopefully by now you're extremely familiar with how to straighten wire. It's a really easy, simple process. Just put it in the drill.
In a later video, he talks about the stretching of the wire. This was before people thought of the stretching thing. They just would always twist their cores just to make them straight. So in the next video, I think he talks, whatever the next video is after this, he talks about, like, somebody said, just stretch it. And, you know, then he starts stretching it.
Grab the other end, and then it doesn't.
But you would literally twist every single core you used. Every single core you used, you would twist. So I got a good amount stretched already, out and straight. And he's going to do this, and then he's going to cut the lengths, and I'll show you what I'm going to do.
Doesn't matter, clockwise, counterclockwise. For about 5 seconds. And some guys on Instagram actually taught me a really cool trick. They saw the last video about how the wire recoiled. And so if you just take your cutters and you cut it, it takes out all the recoil in the wire. So big shout out to you guys. I forget who it was. I feel like a jerk for whoever that was.
He's saying you guys are weird. It's yous guys. Weird. What a weird accent.
That helped me out with that pointer. It's worked perfect. So, said about 3 5-inch pieces. Gonna cut them just a little bit longer. I'm gonna leave about 1 inch on each side.
Yep. Leave 1 inch on each side. Yep. I like this tutorial because you don't see a lot of people doing arch claptons, and it is like my favorite OhmBoy OC video. So he's gonna take this. Whoa. He's gonna take this and cut it just a little bit longer than his D cores. So I'm just gonna take the bigger D core I have here and cut the wires a little longer than that D core. Here's the D core. Here's the 26 gauge. I'm just going to do what he does.
Of that D-cord clapton. And that way you got the wire ready for the next step. So, the secret part to the build. You got to fan these D-cord claptons out. And what I mean by fanning is you got to take a pair of needle nose pliers. I use the ones that are offset like this. I got that little 45 in them. And you got to kind of add an angle here. And actually, I'm more comfortable with doing it with the offset inwards towards me. You got to take this clapton here and you got to install it at an angle, and you're just going to lightly squeeze it and start to get those wires to lay over on their side. And this is called the fanning process. And what you're doing is you're just barely pinching the wire enough to lean it over. So when you...
They did a really good job of showing what's actually happening. Because you cannot crush this shit. You can't crush it. So when they did this part... Let me actually, for this, let me zoom into me real quick. We'll go back to the video in a second. So you gotta the beginning's always the hardest. You kind of have to start it off on a different angle. Then the rest is done. There you go. So you just kind of pinch it over. You'll kind of hear it click a little bit. Usually the beginning, I do it a little too much and I gotta cut it off. But that's okay. So you see I do that. And that part's probably gonna get cut off later. The beginning's always the hardest. The rest will kind of fall into what it has to do. And you just keep... Oh, you can't see that. You just keep going down little by little. And you're like bending 5 of them at a time. But it's only 4 inches of wire. And you can't push down on it too much. You just do it a little bit. And you got to be patient and just move down little by little. Little by little. You don't want to crush it too much. It's going to make this shape going all the way down. It's going to start curving. All right. You're not going to see a huge thing happen here. You're just going to see a little bit of a belly.
You do the flattening process, it's already lean, and it's not going to look like a flattened clapton, it's going to have that arch in it. What I found out here, make it a little easier on you, is when you fan it out, don't fan it all the way to the end. That way when you go to install the cores like this, it's a way easier process.
Oh, he's...
be patient here.
Whoa! How'd he do it that fucking fast? Whoa, buddy. I don't even know how many cores he's throwing in there right now. Let's go back to this.
The secret part to the build. You gotta fan these D-chord claptons out. And what I mean by fanning is you got to take a pair of needle nose pliers. I use the ones that are offset like this. I got that little 45 in them. And you got to kind of add an angle here. And actually I'm more comfortable with doing it with the offset inwards towards me. You got to take this clapton here and you got to install it at an angle. And you're just going to lightly squeeze it and start to get those wires to lay over on their side. And this is called the fanning process. And what you're doing is you're just barely pinching the wire enough to lean it over. So when you do the flattening process, it's already lean and it's not going to look like a flattened clapton. It's going to have that arch in it. What I found out here, make it a little easier on you, is when you fan it out, don't fan it all the way to the end. That way, when you go to install the cores like this, it's a way easier process. Be patient here when you install these cores. Try to keep them as parallel as possible, and then just kind of finesse them into there. So I was able to get those 3-4 wires through.
Okay, he's putting 3 in there. Okay, he's putting 3 in there. That part can be a pain in the ass depending on how you flattened it. It can be a real pain in the ass. That's why the gauges of wires you're using is super important. So I still got a ways to go on this, so just give me a minute. You definitely want a kind of tight clapton. You don't really want spaces in it, because then when you feed the cores, it's going to give you problems. But as you do this, you will get... Oh! I think I just fucked it up. Damn it. I think I just flattened too much. Just a little bit at a time. So when I move the needle noses, right, I move down so I'm on a couple that are already flattened and on a couple that aren't flattened. That seems to be the best way to do it. And it's a very little pinch that you want to do here. There's a good chance I messed up the beginning and I'm going to have to cut it off. We'll see. But like he said, the end part you don't want to flatten. Like when I get down to the end, I'm not going to flatten that part. Very little pinch. Move it up very little bit. Very little pinch. I'm supporting the wire with my fingers here. And just be patient because you don't want to squeeze it too hard. Because then you won't be able to get the cores in. It takes some time, but it's not like a ridiculous amount of time. Alright, they are in there. So that's definitely 18 gauge. 18, 326. Okay. I don't want to fuck it up, so I'm going to stop doing it there. Alright, let's get back to the video. I can cut that off there. Boom. Okay. So it ain't going to look like much right now. But I got my 3 cores in. They're kind of in a triangle right now, but that's fine. You'll see. Okay. Boom.
Through there. It's a little bit of a struggle to get them through. You want to try to keep them as parallel as possible as you're sliding them through. You'll notice if you have a really hard time getting 326 gauges through there, it's probably because you fanned a little too hard. You squeezed a little too hard on it. So once I have those totally through there, what I want to do is I want to reassure before I flatten it that the wires are laying in there parallel. So I'll take a set of my nylon tip pliers, and I'll just start from one side where I know the wires are parallel, and I'll just give it a little squeeze. And I'm going to work myself from one side all the way down to the other end. And then what this is doing is just making sure that the wires are laying in there, all three parallel side by side. So when I go to flatten it, there's no wire that comes up and over and ruins the whole thing.
This is an important tip to this video.
All right. So now you're ready to flatten it. Just get out your jeweler's block or anvil.
You could use, with less pressure, you could use regular pliers that don't have teeth. You don't want to use something with teeth, but this part's pretty important. You could put it through a pasta roller even, but we're going to do what he does. I like going down it like twice, because it also tends to want to twist up a little bit. Beautiful. Beauty, mate.
This is actually Twisted Mess's jeweler's block. While I was in New York, in Niagara, Buffalo, he actually was nice enough to give it to me. So shout out to Twisted Mess's. I've been putting in.
Well, that's great. That's great that he gave it to you. Where the fuck is mine? Just used it last week. Here I go. Here I go losing shit again. Ah. And somebody's fucking working out there. There's no working during the Coronas. There's no working during the Coronas. It's on my anvil. There it is. Okay, cool. Got it. Got it. All right.
And some serious work with it, bro. So I'm just gonna lay that on there. I'm gonna make sure the alien portion is laying flat. My cores are laying flat.
Let me make sure you could see this. Okay. I'm just doing the same thing he's doing.
You really want to be sure that they're laying in there flat. So give it another squeeze over here. That way I know that's flat. And then what I'll do is I'll start on one side and gently flatten it, working my way to the other side. So even if there's a slight twist in the wires and the cores, it'll start to work itself out. I'm going to wrap this on what is a 764.
You know, this isn't a race.
764.
This is, you know, these fucking guys with their hammering so quickly. I do hammer stuff for a living, and these guys are too quick. You need to take your time. You're going way too fast with the hammer. Be a little patient. And I don't want to hear it's editing. Nope. Ain't trying to hear it. What is he wrapping that around? An 1/8 inch bit? Dude, this shit's looking good. This literally might be the best one I've ever done.
So I'm going to wrap this on what is a 764.
So 7/64. So 8. That's almost a 1/4 inch, isn't it? 7/64. 7. No. That's like an 1/8 inch. It's a little less than an 1/8. It's a 3mm he's wrapping around.
7/64 bit. And I'm going to shoot for 4 wraps. And I'm going to go 1 extra here because that first wrap didn't like the way it looked. I'm going to do 1 extra. Then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to remove that wrap. And I'm going to have that lead coming straight down. This one coming straight out. So they're at a 90-degree angle. And then I'll just come in here with these and holding pressure on the coil up here up top. That way when I bend it, it doesn't, you know, put a gap in there or loosen this first coil up. Just bend that. So that way both leads are coming off nice and straight. And I'll just trim off the excess. Okay. Installing the coils like you typically would. Get them up nice and tight to that deck. Well, that's it. That's the Arch Clapton, huh? The mystery has been revealed for everybody out there. So the dual coils on this came out to 0.08 on the nose.
I'll show you mine in a sec.
Let's go ahead and try a little vapor production. Yeah, that's pretty goddamn good if you ask me. It's similar to the Alien wire. The only difference is it's a tad cooler than what you're going to get with the 30 gauge Clapton wire around the outside of those 326 gauges. It takes an extra second or two to heat up, so it's not that throaty, it's not that harsh, and you still get really good flavor off of it. Grab your vape. Let's have a vape together, huh? Let's do this.
I already did.
Hell yeah. Hashtag cloud porn. Shout out to Blake Vapes. One of the funniest guys out there on Instagram. If you're not following his page.
Dude, Blake Vapes was so funny. He's now Blake Weber. Still very funny. Look up Blake Weber on Instagram.
Go check him out. He's a comedian, so you don't have to take what he's saying seriously. Really funny dude. But you know, that's it. We got more tutorials coming up really soon here. We got the Boneyard coil, and then we got a Coil 101 for all the beginners out there. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you want to enter the contest, then comment down below. And till next time, vape on.
Good shit. Alright, I'll show you what mine looks like. Well, there's no fights on the night, so I'll be ready. I'll be ready to go.